Sorry, we're getting started late. Technical issues always make us slow.
Well, that's really.
Hi, Julie.
Yeah.
Hi, I just thought that I thought that I had, something was wrong with the link.
No, it
Because
was
I'm
us.
getting that like circular, wait.
No, it was us.
Okay,
It was,
good.
it was Mark.
Yeah, it was Mark. Mark, and just
Who's NRS? Is that you, Nancy?
okay. So we got,
Yes, that's me.
Oh,
Yes.
hi. Okay.
okay. So here's the rules. We're on a hybrid meeting. That means that if you guys want to say something, please raise your virtual hand. Louis is going to tell us that your hand is raised, and then speak when we call on you. Same thing in here, okay? If you want to speak, please raise your hand, not virtually, and I'll call on you. That's the only way this is gonna work. I'm Mark Salzberg. I'm on the board of the West LA Democratic Club, and I'm chairing this committee, which is the Environment and Clean Energy Committee, hereinafter called ECE. Yes, that's a lot shorter. I've been in politics for too long. 2004. Kerry campaign. Okay, and I've been president of the club. I've been a member of the LA County Democratic Party, a member of the California Democratic Party, a member of other local clubs like the Santa Monica Democratic Club, the Palisades Club. And that's probably talking too much already. So I'm gonna go for Jojo to my right. Jojo, can you tell us who you are?
I'm Jojo Chen, formerly known as Joanna Chen. So, Mark dragged me here to do this stuff and be on his committee. I'm gonna be doing the, LA County Sustainability Plan and being a watchdog for that. And I've been doing, canvassing and politically, I really like to do the implementation and do the action stuff. I'm not in the meetings, so. Okay, that's good.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Jensen, and I know Mark Salzberg from previous political events over the last few years. And he sent an email to me with this about this group meeting. And I'm in alignment with your with the mission, what we're all trying to accomplish, trying to improve everything from our natural habitats to wildlife. But anyway, thank you. I don't know what else to say, but I've been involved with Democratic clubs, a couple of different ones over the years, and it's nice to be here tonight.
Okay. And Bill?
Okay, well, I'm fairly new in the sense that I don't attend most meetings in person. I've been a member on and off for the Democratic Club for many years.
Introduce yourself.
And I participate in a Democratic Zoom every couple of weeks with Julie and some of the other girls.
Who is that, Marilyn?
Huh?
Is
What's
that
your name?
Marilyn?
Yeah. Didn't you recognize?
No, shit, the camera's not focusing.
I recognize your voice, but Mark is going to try to put the camera on the other people at your meet.
Doesn't work.
Oh,
What's
Yeah.
Culbertson, Marilyn Culbertson, yeah.
Is she-
Anyway, so I'm interested in all the problems with the climate crisis, and I'd like to do something that might become meaningful.
Thank you, Ron. Susan,
Susan Blanchard, I'm on the board for West LA
a
Dem.
little louder.
I'm on the board for the West LA Democratic Club, and I just wanted to see how this committee was going to function, what it was gonna focus on.
Suzanne Cumming. I've been a member on and off, and I'm planning on writing my renewal dues today.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. And you're a member of the club?
I-
What other organizations are you involved with?
Defend Bayona wetlands. Sierra Club, you know, the environment.
Okay.
Food and Water Watch.
Okay,
are we
Marcia?
supposed to talk into these or does it pick it up?
no, just talk.
Okay, I'm Marcia Hanscom, a longtime member of this club and resident of the Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey area. And just very interested in all the issues you're going to be bringing up.
Okay, thank you. And Louis, you go next and
Hi, I'm Louis Watanabe. So I'm also on the West LA Democratic Club Board. So first of all, welcome to my parish. My family's been associated with this parish at St. Monica since 1969. And actually, my mother was born in Santa Monica, and my Uncle Kay retired as the city treasurer. Okay, but more specifically, okay, so I've been mostly involved in the last few years in immigration. And so I worked a lot with interfaith groups. And I'm actually hoping to take some of that expertise over for this project. And I'd like to say that when I came back to take care of my folks in 2015, that what really bothered me in Santa Monica was watching water running down the streets on 23rd Street. And it was also, you know, having come from Seattle after 22 years, that was really bothering me. And I also, I found that we did, at the time, we were doing, putting food scraps into yard waste. So those are things that were kind of a cultural shock. But I'm really thankful for being at St. Monica's, because the first thing I did was I actually took the Just Faith Social Justice program. And so that's what got me interested in this work.
thank you, Louis.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we've been joined by a couple of new folks.
Sure. My name is Meredith McCarthy, and I am a parishioner here, and met Louis actually in the Just Faith class. And I run the green team for the parish.
Oh, great.
So we are connected. So all Catholic churches are part of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, of which there are hundreds and hundreds of churches and schools in the parish. So the network is quite big at the Archdiocese level. And then we partner with the San Diego Archdiocese and sort of across a big wide swath of the state of California are connected through that. I'm also a member of the Interfaith Climate Interfaith Power and Light, as well as the Faith Environmental Network.
And Heal the Bay.
And healing.
And I don't know you.
Yes, Tom Ford,
Oh, hi, Tom.
pleasure.
I have seen you before.
We have seen each other. sir.
Yes, at meetings.
I'm sorry?
At meetings over the
At
years.
meetings, just a couple, that's correct. So excited to be here. Glad that I was able to fit this into my calendar. Santa Monican, have been for a long time. Worked to support a lot of environmental work here in the Santa Monica Bay region through the Santa Monica Bay National Estuary Program, the Bay Foundation, as well as the Coastal Research Institute at the Marymount University.
So, and Kelly, you want to say hi?
I'm back here at the back. I'm the secretary for the West LA Democratic Club's board, and I'm providing the same services tonight.
That means he's taking minutes.
Say thanks, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Kelly. For the folks in the room, there is pizza. If you haven't grabbed some, it's over there. There's some plates. If there aren't enough plates, I'll get some more out. And wanted to move on to the next item. So you all have a copy of the agenda here in the room. Do the folks on Zoom have a copy of the agenda?
Are they gonna get introduced?
Oh,
Didn't introduce ourselves.
thank you. Okay, on our screen, Julie, you are top left. So you go first.
My name is Julie Goodman, and I am a member of the board of the West LA Democratic Club, and I'm interested in the issues and hear more about what the committee is going to be about.
And Wendy Sue?
Hi, I'm Wendy, and I am also a member of the West LA Democratic Club and the political vice chair or something like that. Political, I don't know what I am, Mark. You know what I am better than I do.
Who's my boss?
Board member.
Very, very involved in environmental policy and very excited about this committee.
Thank you, Wendy. And Kim?
Hi, I'm a longtime member, Kim Drobny, and I'm here because I'm interested in seeing what the club is going to do in terms of working for our environment. I'm interested and I'm an activist. So thanks, Mark, for doing this.
Thank you, Kim. And I don't know who NRS is. Who's NRS?
Nancy Stone, that's me. Yep.
Oh, hi, Nancy.
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I'm very interested and have been for a long time in the problems, obviously, with the climate crisis. I've worked in state government for many years, so I'm very good at reading statutes and regulations. So I certainly would love to use my expertise in that area to help with with this effort.
Thank you. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on our mission statement, just to make sure everybody's read it. It's not earth-shaking, but it does say why we're all here. So I'm going to read it. The mission of the West LA Democratic Club Environment and Clean Energy Committee is to generate awareness about the environmental crisis and promote effective political action to implement solutions among Democratic Club members, the public, and decision makers. And then our motto, save the earth, it's where we live. So are there any questions about that? I mean, it's pretty basic, but it is why we're here. So if there's any questions, probably ought to ask them now.
Mark, your voice will be clearer if you get a little closer to your microphone when you're speaking.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a question or comment about our mission statement? Okay. Some administrative details. As you've signed up for this meeting, I've made the assumption that you wanted to come to the meeting because you were interested in being on this committee. If you're going to be on this committee, you'll be a member of our Google Communications group. It's an email group. It's how we all communicate with each other, and you don't have to worry about email lists or anything like that. I will send you an invitation to join the group. And then you have to respond and say, yes, I'd like to be in this group. And of course, that will be for anyone else who joins the committee. If you don't intend to be on the committee and you're just here as an observer, send me an email so I don't do all that and put you through all that communication stuff. Okay. The name, the committee name for the group name is what's printed below the committee membership. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about becoming members of the West LA Democratic Club if you are not. Of course, we'd love everybody to be a member of the West LA Democratic Club, but it is not required for membership on this committee until somebody tells me it is. So far, I haven't mentioned that to the people who might tell me that it is required. Kelly, don't put that in the minutes. Okay. Joining is pretty easy. Actually, I'm going to ask you to send a chat message to Kelly, if you could, or well, you're not all signed into Zoom. Kelly, what's your email?
My email, and please write it down because you'll misspell it otherwise, because my name always gets misspelled, is Kelly W. Kelleyw. That's the part everybody always forget. At wladems.org. Now everybody's got their pens out, I'll give it to you again. Kelly, Kelleyw, at wladems.org. And just send me your name. I'll have your email address. I'll send you back a link so that you can get joined up. We've currently got somebody working on our website, and some links are down right now, which is why we're doing it this way.
Okay. So it's cheap, $25. If you're old like me, it's even cheaper.
It's like 12 and a half.
15?
Our
Okay.
treasurer would, yeah.
All right. And I don't know how old you have to be before you're old like me. Is it 65? I don't know.
And we have a summer party coming, so join up and you'll get slightly cheaper rate for the summer party.
Okay.
Kelly W at what, LA?
wladems.org.
Okay. The way we're working is through projects. This one around. I don't know where it's got. And we started brainstorming projects at our first meeting. The first meeting was kind of small because I didn't know how this is going to work out. And I'm not good with big groups when we're doing Q&A. So we came up with a brainstorming session on projects. What you've got in your hands is what we brainstormed, and I hope you folks on the Zoom meeting have the project control list open. There is a link to that list in the agenda which I sent to you. So I'm going to go over this fairly quickly. You're going to see some projects that have a project lead. They're in bold and italic letters. Other projects do not have a project lead yet. Come back to that in a moment. The next item is the status. Adopted means that the initial group voted to say, these are projects we're interested enough, we'd like to see them accomplished. Now going back to the project lead, if there is no project lead, we're not doing the project. So somebody needs to step forward and say, you know, that's something I'm interested in, and I'd like to lead the project group that's going to make that happen. So the first project is holding the decision makers accountable for the principles, ordinances, and actions embodied in the LA County Sustainability Plan. And JoJo is the project lead for that. JoJo, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I guess I started getting interested in this because I want to see them implement it well. And this is an LA County Sustainability Plan that was adopted in 2019. And one of the things that they mentioned was 1 out of every 33 Americans is in LA County, which I found that astonishing. But so they have this 12 goals that they want to establish with 37 strategies and 159 actions with 3 different due dates, 2025, 2035, and 2045. And I have a introductory meeting slated for someone in the Infrastructure LA organization. And I have some general questions like to ask him, and this is just a quick intro meeting. So if anybody would like to join me and join my group, I mean, I'm not really into leading, but I don't have a leader.
She's going to need help.
But anyway, some questions. What would you like us as a group of activists to achieve our 2050 zero greenhouse gas emissions? Are there any organizations that are performing this function working with you? And then what are the utility companies' plans to achieve zero greenhouse gas emissions, the clean energy and the grid? And I'd like to know the implementation of their transmission line policy, getting renewables on the grid. And what are their obligations to meet that plan, by what date? And do the utility companies want our inputs, if there's a forum for that to achieve this goal? And then for transportation, what is the county going to do to reduce single passenger transportation? What's the infrastructure, EV charging stations and operational, and even if they're operational? And then for buildings and industry, how are the companies, businesses working to reduce and use green energy? And is there an enforcement mechanism for that? So those are stuff I want to do. And if anybody wants to join me, that would be great. But we have a meeting next week with the guy. He's just a half hour, so it's introductory. And I'd like to get them, they were really happy to hear from me, the LA County supervisor, because maybe they don't get this pushback. But because we're there to help them get this implemented, because with the utility companies are resistant.
We're going to move on.
Okay.
And
Question mark?
no, I'm going to take all the questions at the end if that's okay, unless it's just administrative.
I was just gonna ask where you could find what this plan was.
Oh, well, I could put that on the Google links. It's
Actually, there is a link if you look online.
If I just click on this, if there's a link that's gonna lead me to it,
Yes.
that's what I was.
Yeah, if you click on the project control list in the comments, you see a couple of links. And one of them is to the sustainability plan.
Okay, Mark,
Kelly?
is this being recorded?
Yes, I hope so.
Did you?
That was my intent.
Okay.
Link in the chat.
Pardon?
What's that?
Can you put the link in the chat for the people who are on Zoom?
Yeah, can you do that?
The LA County.
Try.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Julie, if you don't have the link, send me an email and I'll take care of it, okay?
Yeah, or if someone,
So we can just move on.
if someone wants to email it to me now, I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, if you just Google LA County Sustainability Plan.
You will find it.
Oh, good, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so the next project is plan and organize a West LA Democratic Club meeting about the Inflation Reduction Act. And we want to explain 3 things: the impact of the bill on the climate emergency, the financial incentives in the bill, and the benefits to individuals and how to take advantage of them. So JoJo and I are going to lead that, and we're going to be doing that meeting. It will be putting it on sometime in November. So we're actually getting started on putting that together now. So what's the Inflation Reduction Act? Hopefully we all know. This is the one of those big bills that the Biden administration pushed, had lots of trouble getting across the finish line, and then all of a sudden, magically, it got done last year in the fall.
It's 1 year ago.
1 year ago. So that would be the summer. It has about $1 trillion in it. Does anybody remember? I think it was somewhere around
Well,
close to
it's
uneven
really
trillion.
unlimited.
Yeah, but that's what they actually said it was going to be in the budget. But the reality is, most of the money that's involved happens through tax credits, which means they've been put into our tax system. They don't expire until the Republicans come in and say, we can't spend that money anymore. So there's a huge feeding frenzy going on right now, all across the country. Everybody is trying to get in on that $1 trillion. It is a steamroller. If you don't like a project that's being proposed and they've already got the money approved, get out of the way because it's going to steamroll right over you. This will lead us to another proposed project, which is not adopted yet. We'll come back to that. So anybody who wants to help us put this on, we've got a lot of explaining to do. There's going to be a panel, someone who is an expert, certainly not me, in the Inflation Reduction Act and how to get the benefits. And there are lots of benefits available for us. It's not just for the guys with the big bucks. We'll have people talking about the impact of the bill on our climate. And the impact, as you can imagine, we're talking about big money here, is big. It's major. It's actually accomplishing something. It is spending more in the United States than has ever been spent on the climate emergency. That said, the real payoff comes in the future as the spending continues to roll up. And we're going to talk about the financial incentives to the bill and how those financial incentives make all this happen and implement the policy, because they're the driver of the policy. There's no rules that say you have to do this. There's rules that say, here's how you get your money. I'm going to go to the next adopted project, which is another club meeting. Climate change is an existential threat. Existential. The idea is, if we don't respond appropriately to the climate change emergency, we as a species do not exist anymore. The Earth may continue. Other planets may, other animals may evolve to tolerate the heat. But our civilization will not last. We as a species may not make it. Ted Lieu, I always think of Ted when he ran for Congress, he said, climate change is an existential crisis. And that's exactly what he meant. So that was his goal one when he got into Congress, to work on climate, sustainability, environment. That was one of the first bills he introduced, comprehensive bill. So we'll certainly ask Ted to address us at that meeting, and there will be others, probably Ben Allen and a few others. That meeting will take place in April.
Oh,
And the reason it's going to be April is because that's climate month. Okay. The next adopted project is Wendy Sue leading it. And that's advocating for proposed local, state, and federal legislation regarding the environment, clean energy. Wendy, do you want to say a few words just for a few minutes about what that is?
I do. I think that, you know, the legislature considers hundreds and hundreds of bills every year. I'm going to say thousands, actually. And we're going to try to keep track of the environmental bills that come through, chart them, and choose priority bills to weigh in on. It's a huge undertaking, but that's what we're going to try to do. And then that's, you know, in the state, and then locally, we're also going to be watching what the county does, what the city council does, and try to track important motions and resolutions that come out, so that if we feel the need to weigh in on those environmental policies, we can do that, or at least to be aware of them and keep the club abreast of what we're doing locally and in the legislature in terms of the environment.
I assume we'll be knocking on politicians' doors.
We will be checking in on what their bill packages will look like. We'll be monitoring other clubs that are keeping track. We will be looking at what environmental groups are tracking. We will be looking at priority bills, all of that.
And encouraging them to pass. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. The next one that I have here is Lewis, collaborating with community organizations such as faith-based enviro justice organizations and enviro organizations like Sierra Club and Climate Reality Project on environmental issues and clean energy. You want to say a few words, Lewis, about what you intend to do?
All right. Yes. So essentially, what's important here is that I have been involved with immigration, and of course, migration around the world is actually affected by climate change. So it's actually a related issue. And the second thing is that you know, I really think that there is a good Pope Francis has put out the Laudato Si, and basically that's the I guess the moral rationale for why we should be protecting the earth. Well, that's only one religious perspective. I believe that we can actually find an awful lot with other faiths in order to be able to try to help push this along.
Thank you, Lewis. Okay, just reading down the list, the next item is actually something called encourage public transportation. We are currently looking for a project lead for this project. If that is something that interests you, please let me know. And if you want to rush right into it, that's fine too. You can say so here. But the idea is one of the biggest sectors that we can clean up, maybe the biggest sector to address in Los Angeles, is automotive emissions. The easiest way to affect the auto emissions problem that we have in Los Angeles is don't drive. And the easiest way not to drive, other than bicycles, scooters, etc., is public transportation
Or Zoom.
or Zoom. Don't drive is the idea. This is still problematic. I mean, we're building out the subway and the transport system, the rail network. It's been a long process. It is going to continue through the next decade. And at the end of that decade, we're going to have all kinds of connections. But there's a big hole in this scenario. I happen to live in Marina Del Rey. I have a train station in Santa Monica, which by bus is about 40 minutes away. Or I can go up to Culver City. I actually have a choice. Again, by bus, 45 minutes. I can get anywhere I want downtown in 45 minutes on the train. If I get to the train. So the biggest problem we have with public transportation in LA, this is me speaking, this isn't my suggestion, but I think it's the last mile or the first mile. How do we get from our homes efficiently to the train station? And when I say efficiently, something that's not going to put us off, because it's now, for me to get downtown is an hour and a half to 2 hours. Or alternatively, coming back. And I'm in a good situation. You know, there's let's call them deserts, train deserts in LA. How do you get to the train station? You know, a train trip can take 3 to 4 hours, so it doesn't solve the problem. Okay, that's my editorializing. There is a huge need to solve that last mile problem and make that solution available to everybody in LA County.
And it's more than a mile. I mean, from
Well,
here to your
I-
place is like 5 miles, 7 miles. But yeah.
So, we're gonna take questions at the end, okay? And I saw that there were some hands up, and I just wanna get all this out first. Okay, we got Lewis on his. Oh, no, that was the last one. Adopted. Oh, another one that has been adopted, but we need a project leader. I think we might have one, but I'll throw it out there. Last month, I was at a group meeting, and I happened to run into an old friend, and we started talking about this committee. And she said she's works with all of the health clinics in the city. She said, we've got a problem. We've got all this heat stuff going on. It's over 100 degrees, 110 degrees, 115 degrees, and people are dying. How many people are dying? And this is where you go, well, I don't know. There's just a lot of them. We have no formal way of reporting heat deaths. That's not a cause of death. Now, I mean, I may be a little bit morbid, but this country and everyone who works in the field works on statistics. We all think this is a big problem, but we don't have any statistics to back that up. We don't know how many people are dying. We just know it's a lot. So she brought that up. That led to a few other items that in the medical effects on climate change. You know what? How do we declare a climate emergency, and what does that entail? What's FEMA, who's the national coordinator of emergency services? What are they going to do if we've got a heat emergency? How do they declare a heat emergency? So these are things that haven't really been discussed enough. There is a bill floating through Congress that allows FEMA, that would allow FEMA to declare a heat emergency. Hasn't passed yet. There's no policy, there's no regulation, there's no nothing. So that's what the idea here is. This climate emergency doesn't just affect the climate, it also affects us and all the creatures that live here. And that's what we would like to that project to work on. On the front page, okay. Oh, we have a proposed project that was adopted. We need a leader. It's a club meeting to discuss urgent action versus consequences. Jojo, you've been working on this.
What's that mean?
Jojo's going to explain.
What?
Where I can do it, Jojo.
Yes, I think you should.
All right. Urgent action versus
Oh,
consequences of decisions and implementing those actions. This is actually one of the biggest issues facing the climate community and the government and everybody else who's concerned right now. This is an emergency. We're all going to cook. I don't want to cook. This is an existential problem for the planet. We have laws and regulations which are supposed to protect us from major projects. Okay. Many of you are familiar with California's Environmental Quality Act. That's the law that controls what happens in California. If you want to do a project, you got to do an environmental study. You got to figure out who it's going to affect. You got to go to lots of times go to court because you don't like the way the study was conducted or you don't like the results. Bottom line is a project, after it's proposed, after, it can take years to get permitted. We did that on purpose. We implemented that on purpose because so many projects get completed that have unintended consequences or unforeseen consequences. And we want to try and foresee as much as possible what a project is going to do. That used to be great. But now we got a different problem. We're not talking about building the next 20-story residential apartment building. We're talking about a climate emergency, an existential threat. Do we continue to go slow to make sure we've got all our bases covered, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and take 2 or 3 years before we implement a project? Or do we go back to those rules and use those rules? This is one of those big debates. I mean, the environmental community has used those rules like CEQA since they've been enacted. Tom, you've been involved in this. I know, Marcia, you've been involved in this. When did we pass CEQA? You remember?
70s.
71?
In the 70s.
70s, okay.
The coastal act, 75.
Is that 50 years?
Close enough.
Close to it.
Close enough. So for 50 years, environmentalists have been using those rules to get projects that are too large, scaled back, get projects that will damage the environment, stopped, get projects to change their footprint, this has been the tool that the environmental community has used.
I would say they were rarely stopped. Usually,
Let's,
yeah, I mean, that's not really what it's for. It's to inform.
but now we're faced with, do we continue to use these tools? That's what this project is about. It's about a club meeting that's going to involve as many people as we can get involved. I would say a multi-club meeting, just to talk about what it means to take urgent action and what it means to shorten the length of time to get something implemented because we've got an emergency. No opinions, no editorializing from me yet. I have my own opinion. Lots of people have their own opinion. But that's what this project's going to be about. We don't have a date yet for it. It will be sometime after April in 2024, which is a problem because we're talking about taking urgent action and we're not going to even talk about it for 6 months. If we can make it happen sooner, we can make it happen sooner. And we need somebody to lead this project, to actually put together the people that will talk about it, talk about those environmental laws, talk about the need for speed. Maybe we'll have some videos. Al Gore has some choice things to say. So that's what that one is. Okay. The rest of the projects on here have been proposed but not adopted. How do we get them adopted? Well, we're going to have to vote on them again. We'll vote on them one more time, along with any new suggestions as things come off the project list, because we're working on them, see our path clear to branch out, then we can adopt new projects. But right now, we're stretched to the limit. I said we can't do any of these projects without project leads. But the reality is that's not enough. We need volunteers. And you can see between who's joined us via Zoom and the people in this room, that's our pool of talent at the moment. So job one is recruiting more people to help us with these projects. A project lead is going to be developing promo materials that we can put out to the club, to other clubs, to the environmental community, to any rock we can turn over and find people to help us with the projects. And as we get more people, we can get the project staffed, we can get them up and running, and then we can talk about adopting new projects. Okay, that's all I wanted to say, which was way too much. It's already 8 o'clock. Does anybody want to say something or ask questions? Okay, Marilyn, Susan, and did I see your hand up at 1.2?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so we're going to take Marilyn, Susan, and you, and then we're going to go to Zoom. Is that okay?
Okay, so I'm just a little confused. I know that nothing happens quickly, but we're talking what? Los Angeles, LA County, Southland, California, the whole state? What are we talking about? Number one, for our projects. Number two, all of these things take money. Where is the money going to come from? The normal state or federal budgets? Is that what we're going to appeal to get any of these things actually implemented? That takes not only time, but funding, which is not easy to get. So I'm not sure we're talking long-term.
We're talking short-term and long-term. And we're talking about talking to city leaders, state leaders, county leaders, federal leadership. I mean, that's my opinion. Now, the real answer is the project leads are going to define that. The real answer is they're going to work on the scope of what they want to work on. Because you can't work on everything. So that's one of the first things they're going to have to do is, here's what I want to work on with this project specifically. If we work on this, how wide are we going to reach our arms open to work on all of the
Exactly.
solution?
Yeah,
Or are we just going to talk local? So I can't really answer the question. It is up to the project lead, and if the project lead has concerns and questions and so on, they'll come back to the committee and we'll help.
I don't know if you're aware of the Southern California Gas Company suit that just was, I believe they just settled it, didn't they?
Yeah, but for not very much money, yeah.
No, but the point is that they lied to everybody for years by saying it was natural gas, and it's actually not, it's methane, which is pollution, okay? And they were finally sued for it. I mean, you and I both know the establishment is not gonna easily change any of these things that cause us issues that are secret.
And just in terms of, let me just say specifically, because it's expectations time. What are we really going to accomplish?
Yeah.
What we can really hope to accomplish is we can actually work with the city and the county. They are our local representatives. They have budgets, they have goals, they have regulations that require them to act. We can work with them. We can actually influence them very directly in what happens. Okay. Working at the state level is harder. Okay. Now politics is tougher for whoever wants to work with us at legislative levels. There's more people to consider and more geography to consider. I guess what I'm saying is we're going to have our greatest success and impact locally working with the state. We've got a shot. We can work on legislation. We can propose legislation to legislators that would carry the bills. And we have to get them interested. It's very much a more political game. Congress, it's even worse. Are we going to change the country? I have no ambition to. I'd love to. Wouldn't that be great? Al Gore has not succeeded yet in changing the country. It's coming damn close. So, we have to temper our expectations. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Susan?
You have this one category of this urgent action versus consequences. It sounds like you want to ignore the consequences.
No.
Because a lot of these things, we have not resolved the issues of what the next, i.e. solar panels and the windmills and the electric vehicles, which when they live their life as of right now, they go into they're going to go into landfills. That doesn't seem to me like it's solving the problem.
Without
It's creating a different problem that somebody else is going to solve down the road.
Let's be specific about that. That's the whole point.
With the solar panels, the reason they're being put in the desert is not for the sun, it's because it's cheaper. Because by state law, they put it on your roof and you have extra energy, they have to pay you for it. If they go out into the desert, they don't.
Without disagreeing for a moment. Those are exactly the consequences we've got to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Consequences are, how do I want to say this? That's the conflict. It's an emergency. We've got to go fast. There's consequences to what we do. Are we going to screw something up worse than we've already got?
Possible.
It is a debate at a very abstract level until you talk about concrete things like you just mentioned. This committee, this meeting is going to be very difficult to do just because of that. because you got to talk about the concrete, but the issue is kind of abstract. So I don't want to minimize that. I was just trying to get you an overview, but that's where we're at. So we definitely will be talking about consequences.
Kathleen. So in the world of, say, government contracting, when somebody works on a project, there is a prime contractor and then subcontractors. And I think with this small number of manpower here, with this group here, that we might be best served to begin at least attaching ourselves as subcontractors to an existing prime contractor like Sierra Club or the Annenberg Wildlife Foundation or Palisades, what do they call themselves? The Resilient Palisades, who are all into composting and doing things like that. But the point is it's a lot for a small group to invent the wheel. Where if the wheel and all the legal ramifications and things like that, permits, et cetera, like if somebody's gonna do a trash pickup, you have to make sure that it's okay to go where you're going and, you know, but if we connect as the West LA Democratic Club, Environment Clean Energy Committee, attaching ourselves to an already existing organization, you know, I think that would be, we could be more effective. At least to start, and then as we'll get, you know, then we can start doing our own, more of our own.
Don't disagree. I think again, that goes back to the project leads, their scope and how they want to. We're not going to manage these things as a top-down bureaucratic organization. Project leads are going to do their own things with their projects and with their project teams. And I would hope that their project teams will be their major inputs to what they should do. I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for.
So that's one of my questions to the LA County Sustainability. Are there other groups working on this in the help?
That's a good question.
That's what I have.
Yeah, other groups that we could partner up with.
Yeah, I agree.
Marcia, I'm going to go up to the Zoom folks and then we'll come back to the room. So is it somebody on Zoom have a comment? Questions?
Are they still there? Are they there?
Julie?
Yeah, I just, I think we need to narrow down what we're focusing on. I think the more effective thing would be to choose a smaller project. In other words, not the whole state, the whole county, the whole city, but something where we can define progress and measure it. Just a suggestion that this is, the scope is, well, obviously the environmental crisis has an enormous scope, but our little piece of it should be something that we can feel that we've achieved something. Or that we're able to.
Kim? Nancy? Wendy?
Well, I think,
Comments?
yeah, this is Nancy. I think Julie's suggestion is a good one, because right now there is so much to do and there is not, you know, an army of people to do it. And I think trying to get focused might be a good idea.
I hear that. Wendy, you have any comments? Kim? Julie, did you want to respond? Because I know Marcia's waiting in the room.
I just wanted to add, my thing is messaging and you know, marketing and PR and stuff, and I'd be very interested in working on that, but I have an opinion about encouraging people with positive stuff. Like the message shouldn't be, we're all gonna die. It should be more, this is what we can do and it'll clean up this and it'll help that. Do you know what I mean?
I do, thank you.
Even though actually we are all going to die, but that's another story. Not about the environment.
Marcia, you wanted to?
Yeah, so as I've heard you talk about each of these projects that you've adopted already, that we've adopted, it seems like there's some recurrent theme of having a program, a meeting, some kind of a session for the membership. So my question is, how do you, as the chair of this, envision, and other board members or who are here, how do you envision this committee's work? Is it simply, and simply is important, is it to educate the membership and the West LA area about certain topics and possibly get them engaged with some kind of action to support whatever the topic is? Or is it actually to do projects, which I'm not sure if this organization's even equipped to do, but perhaps to influence legislators to support something we agree on might make sense. So, I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe we could clarify that. It might make it not seem like it's such a big task.
So going back to the mission statement, we want to promote effective political action to implement solutions. And of course, there's a lot, you can unpack that,
Right.
you know. What
That's
is,
why I
what
asked
does
how many
encourage,
you're-
what does encourage mean? What does effective mean?
Well, that's
What's
why I was
political
asking
action?
you,
And
what, like, for instance, what would you like to see from one of your favorite one on here? What would you like to see happen that we, you know, effectively educate 1,000 people, effectively educate our membership, engage them in writing postcards, what?
I guess I'd say again, my interest is in enabling you guys more than doing what I want to do. I mean, as I see these projects, they belong to the project team that's working on it. Now, if they need to come back and get guidance, that's fine. That's why we're here. That's why we're a committee. If they want to come back and say, we could do this or we could do that, what do you guys think? And we'll work with it. But I don't think that's, as I said, that's where I'm coming from. I don't want to tell anyone what to do or how to do it. I want to help them. I want to, you know, for those of us with project management experience and know how these things run and how they work, you know, we want to certainly assist. But we're not going to make the decisions that belong to the project team. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so let me try one more thing. You're not thinking that we as a committee or a subcommittee or whatever are going to, as a group, go out and implement a sea level rise project. We would perhaps identify one that we like and help advocate for a certain outcome, but we're not going to go out and do the project ourselves. We would be advocating to whatever level of government.
That's
Is that
correct.
right? Okay, got
That's correct.
it. Okay.
Louis,
Just
you
wanted
have your
to
hand
not
up?
have people to feel too overwhelmed, because these are big things.
Yeah, I'm going to drive the bulldozers. I always wanted to do that.
I appreciate that suggestion because we're not reinventing the wheel here. That's a
Right.
suggestion.
Well, I think what's important when we started this and had this project list, that first of all, it was a brainstorming activity because we really didn't know per se what's out there to begin with, right? So that's the first thing. So we find some people are more willing to lead certain things because that sort of fits naturally with whatever it is that they've been doing already, probably. I basically believe in low-hanging fruit. That's the way to get success. You know, so my interest is basically saying, well, if we could find a particular project to focus on. It's very easy for me to say, well, let's see if I can find other faith groups that might be interested in supporting those.
Anybody else? You,
I think it's amazing, of all the other coalitions that I'm on, you know, you need, I love the idea of the prime and the sub, right? We're just doing a strategic plan right now at work, and these are such great objectives. They haven't been through a smart objective filter, right? There's no audience, there's no time bound, they're not measurable. And I think all the project leads, I think as a technical advisory council, as the mothership, it's good to push the project leads to make them smart objectives, so that it's clear about that. And a smart objective, you know, is helps you identify the outputs. Is this lobbying hours? Is this communication email to the greater membership? Is that, and I think it will help this feel like you can wrap your arms around it a little bit, because then there's not, you know, there's no expectation that anybody's going to be a content expert in, you know, electrification or anything like that. And because the content experts are out there and they want to know that their content expertise, you know, all of the organizations can lean on this group to send an email out to 1,000 people, right? Because the most valuable thing you have is an email list of people who might actually open it and might actually write a letter to an elected official, or, you know, county supervisor. And that is your juice to move any of these policies, is to push Rita at the sustainability office, to push the board of supervisors and say, you know, this is, you know, you walk up to a microphone, you say you've got 10,000 people behind you, they will listen to you differently, right? And I think it's really exciting. All of these projects are so good, but when you just look at engage public transportation, it's like, oh geez.
yeah, right.
Like, but when you say by 2024, we will have testified at the board, you know, the Transpo board, the Metro board, and gotten this letter writing campaign off, you know, it just, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. I think it will help make this a little bit.
Thank you. I like your suggestion, and you know, if we can implement some kind of group like you suggested, we'll do that.
But that takes time with knowing you gotta get your arms around the
I
thing, and then
agree.
you do the smart
Right.
objectives.
So
Right now, we're just proposing a project.
Right.
You have to start with small steps in a certain
That's right.
order and know what those steps are gonna be.
Kelly, then Susan.
I just want to go back to a project that you had mentioned here, auto emission.
Yeah,
There's an ongoing project that's been going on for about 25 years in the county. That is a commuter survey of every employer who's got 200 or more employees. They regularly, the employers get done financially if they don't do the survey. Two, they also get a certain amount of promotion towards improvement if they can continually lower the number of people that they have driving in single occupancy. I administered the survey at UCLA for the last 3 years that I was there. There's a lot that you can do to get people to take public transit, but the advantage that you had of UCLA where I was that the last mile at the UCLA end was pretty much covered. They had 3 buses, shuttles going around and around on campus to get into wherever and you know, it's a walkable facility anyway. It's the smallest UC campus in the state. The comment you made about the last mile being the one that is kind of the stumbling block of the whole thing is very astute, and I think that's one of the places where the work does need to be done. I don't think these bird scooters and all really do the job, because it's a balancing act. It's not for a person of, I hate to admit it, my age. However, the flip side to it is the need to go back to the agencies and say what you're providing or what you're trying to sell needs to be more straightforward to use and more regularized. There was a recent article in one of the papers about these sunshades that they can barely get out for the bus stops, and that's if we're running to. I just spent 2 months over in Europe, and everybody is riding bicycles, everybody is taking buses, everybody's on the subway. Most of Paris doesn't even own a car, and so I think. All I was gonna say was you have a resource for information at the UCLA operation. I can hook us up with that. You have an ongoing project to promote with what is being done through the metro operation.
If you keep talking, I'm going to ask you if you want to lead the project, so be careful.
Secretary here. I have expertise.
Sounds like you.
Since I
Susan,
retired.
you wanted to say something?
Listening to her, Marcia and Kathleen? Meredith. And I'm sort of kind of wondering if because we've had this discussion at the board meeting several times about getting the membership involved. And I'm wondering if an approach to take would not be starting in 2024, because I'm not convinced we're going to have any in-person meetings yet this year, but if we were, and picking at least every other meeting, one of these environmental issues, presenting the issue, getting some experts to help us present it, find groups that are doing various things that relate to it, and then encouraging the membership to get involved and be involved in those issues. They choose those organizations, they choose, making sure that we give them all the information they need to make that choice. Because there's a lot of these things people don't know exist.
I just want to interrupt for a moment. When you said at our next meeting and every other meeting, were you talking about this meeting or
No,
talking
I
about the
meant
board meeting?
No,
or something?
the membership meeting.
Membership meeting.
The
Perfect.
membership meeting, at least one of these things where we present enough information to the board.
Yeah.
To the membership as a whole, that they can say, gee, I really want to work on the LA sustainability plan, and she's found 4 or 5 groups that they can go and join and they can work with.
Well, we'll take that to our next West LA Dem Club board meeting and make that
And that's
suggestion.
like a way to get a lot more people involved, which as you said, and there's a lot, you mentioned some, I'm sure there are those that would be interested in faith-based organizations. Wouldn't be my choice, but it would be others.
Okay.
Because like you said, the transportation, there are a lot of things LA is doing, most of us don't know that.
We've got about 5 minutes left. And if you want to stay longer, that's perfectly good. There's lots of pizza. So we want to eat that up. But I don't know, what did we do today? We introduced the committee into what we're doing, and we introduced each other to ourselves to each other. We talked about some of the projects that we'd like to do. And we haven't really talked at all about the projects that we have not adopted, that we've not decided on what to do yet. I don't think the project universe is even close to explored yet. You know, everybody's got an idea. Tom, you've never been involved in this group, and I know from the work you've done before, I know you've got some projects that you'd love to have us explore. So by all means, please explore, suggest new projects. I'm not going to say that we're going to do them. We're not going to do all of these. But if we don't have them suggested, there's not a chance that they'll be done. So please put your thinking caps on and think about the projects that you'd like to see us explore. Second, it's a small group. I said it before, we need people.
Right. That's the.
We need we need people to come in and help us accomplish these projects.
We're going to the membership.
We need people to come in, we need you guys to step up and run a project. And we've got some of the projects that have been adopted that don't have leaders. They're just gonna sit.
That's what.
So that's job one, is getting those people.
But that's where going to the membership would help get those people.
I understand. Louis, really short.
So I just want to say that, this is the first real in-person meeting that was actually executed for this year. Okay,
Who's we?
the West LA Democratic Club.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, and so it's really important because since the pandemic, we've all been kind of trapped. And so this is a really important thing. We do have a barbecue in Mar Vista on September the 9th. So if you're interested in that, I already have posted it on the Facebook, on the West LA Democratic Club Facebook page. But if you're interested, you can always contact me. After the meeting, that's fine.
Okay. Very quick.
Okay, well, the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles County really soon. Do you think we could use that spotlight on Los Angeles County to kind of put some energy into some of our projects?
No disagreement. Propose a project to do that, and we'll put it on the list, and we'll see if people want to adopt it. I mean, that's the way we move forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Transfer, and I think a lot of the county plans are reverse engineering out of the Olympics, so it's very much something that people are thinking about, what the city's gonna look like by then. Coca-Cola is trying to completely change all single-use plastics, trying to make that deadline, so there's a lot of things at play, but the county plan is also thinking.
Kelly, you've been raising your hand.
On the Olympic impact.
All I was gonna say was, going back to where I was at UCLA and what we were getting pressed on there. Public transit is gonna be a huge push in LA over the next 5 years. And if we wanna try to find a way to climb onto that for various things, it's twofold. One, really quickly, it's twofold. One, they're trying to show off Los Angeles and make it very accommodating. All these people are gonna come from around the planet 5 years later. But second of all, they're also trying to use it as a way to leverage making this a much more livable community for the people who are here. So here's an opportunity to kind of take their own greed at showing off and turning it into our own advantage.
Like I said, just keep talking and we'll have a leader for that project. Okay, what we're gonna do next
Next.
is there's an LA Democratic Club meeting coming up the first Monday of next month. So it'll be the first Monday of September. Pardon?
LACD meeting.
No, that's the Democratic Club. First Monday of every
Of
month.
the board meeting.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, yeah. At that board meeting, we will present your idea, Susan, that every public meeting we have, or every other public meeting, or whatever schedule we get on, we'll talk about a project. We'll spotlight a project and we'll talk about it.
I think it's gonna have to
Secondly-
be every other because of the election.
Second comment, the idea of putting together a train the trainer or train the leaders or training for how to run a project, the kind of steps that you need to take. I think that was an excellent idea. And I'm more than happy to organize that. And we could actually have a meeting on that for those people who are interested in that topic, you know, sometime between now and then our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Third, you guys, I hope, are going to make suggestions for more projects. You guys, I hope, are going to make suggestions to your friends and your neighbors and ask them to help us as volunteers. Lewis is going to put together a Facebook page and maybe other social media pages that we can use, or at least work on those. So we will have a hub to make announcements as well as the West LA Democratic Club hub. Hopefully that'll be together by next month. Last thing is, this became a Thursday because it just so happened that the first meeting we did as a group was on a Thursday last month. Do people want to continue doing this on Thursdays? So next month, should we pick a Thursday in September?
As long as it's not the first Thursday.
Okay, as long as it's not the first Thursday. Any other comment?
Fine, Thursday's fine.
Thursday's fine. Anyone else? Joey, Wendy,
Works for me.
okay?
I would also suggest, when you were saying we have the board meeting on the first Monday of the month, people who aren't board members can come, just regular
Of
members
course.
are
Oh, of
invited,
course.
and it's a Zoom, whatever.
Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mark, thank you.
We can certainly come to those board meetings. Okay, so it'll be next month, a middle Thursday, second or third Thursday of the month, we'll have another one of these sessions. In the meantime, if you want to be a project lead, please contact me, put you on the list, and we'll figure out what the next steps are.
I was from Pat, make a comment on a side note, because I was on a webinar earlier with the LA Green Business Council. And one of their speakers is from a company called Incentivize. And what they are developing, and they are going to launch it in September, I believe, is a website for people can go on and check and see what kind of rebates and discounts are available for EVs. They will then have a function that will help you fill out the paperwork so you get the rebate back. And they, their third phase will be to finance it so you can get the rebate at the time you buy the car and not have to wait to get it.
Are you volunteering to?
No, I just thought it was interesting when you had EV there and this guy had this website, and they are a business that is based in San Francisco that they're going to launch in September in several states on the East Coast and hope by shortly thereafter be across the country. I just thought it was interesting that it was on here and under you had the Inflation Reduction Act, and that was where apparently the money for buying the EVs is coming from.
Can you send that link to Mark so he
Yeah.
can share it with us?
I will be putting together adding all of you folks. I'll be adding all of you folks to the Google group unless you tell me not to. And you can post whatever you want there. Tom, I don't think you RSVP'd, so we don't have your contact information or anything. So if you wouldn't mind writing down your email address and your cell phone,
Happy to do so.
then we can go from there.
Thank you, Liz.
I'm packed out and I haven't had enough pizza, so
What's the date for the next meeting?
we don't know.
You don't have it.
It'll be the second or third Thursday is the most likely of September. And I'll circulate that and we'll see who can't make it for one and we'll make it for the other.
I see ENT.
Okay.
IVIVIE, I think.
Mark, I just want to thank you for organizing this, and I'm heading out.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to join.
They just heard in like an hour.
Recruit.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you guys for coming. I mean, look,
Organizing here. This is nice.
we can't do this
Yeah.
without us.
It's a little tricky playing with the
I went
hybrid.
to that rewire
I had no
thing
idea.
that I showed you
But we
on
found a spot
Wednesday.
on the side.
Yes,
Yeah.
yesterday, that rewire America.
Oh, yeah.
It has really great information. That would be great.
Wire is good.
Yeah, actually.
That would be great.
You can go up on the-
Yeah, well, you don't go as far as.
Oh, maybe, no, that was Louis.
Just turn,
Sorry.
right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, rewire is really good.
maybe they could do a Zoom with our group, but that's, they're gonna send me all the material supposedly and I can afford it. I'm gonna go. Bye.
Why?
Yeah, so this
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. No?
I don't know.
All right, oh, I saw
Does it have
bins out
handles?
there.
There's one that,
Oh, I saw bins out there.
oh, did you?
Yeah, yeah.
Cleanup. I didn't say anything about cleanup.
Oh.
So if you've got stuff you want that's recyclable,
It's on the cost.
follow JoJo.
I saw a bin outside.
She's leading us to the recycling bin.
Here's recycle.
So it all can go, so all the compost can go to Bakersfield. All the compost can go to Bakersfield.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Tom. Glad you're here.
Where are you?
So I live in Seattle.
Are you still down there?
So where are you? Last year, I actually lost the.
Yeah.
race.
Yeah.
Watching this.
Yeah, the piece of film.
I came second out of it.
Yeah, a piece of film, not really, found it in front of me. Yeah,
That she was.
Go back there. Well, yeah, I got a buddy who lived.
Yeah, that's.
They got,
That's what it
lost the house.
It was.
Got himself.
The major union. So you like.
Just like, it's fine, and over in like West End of Oklahoma City, you got over to the marina. I've been going through Oklahoma City a little and stuff lately. Pretty sure I've gotten in.
I don't know if at 6:07, I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. All I was gonna say was, but nobody knew there. There's that great coffee shop, or that great coffee shop, like, bookstore, that's right on that corner there.
Well,
Yeah. I've been in there twice with him, it's just a lovely place to just chill, and so maybe we can do something like that. All right, good seeing you.
Thank you.
Just,
Yeah.
She can actually do this. Yeah, that is something, yeah.
So next one, I'm gonna zoom.
if she bounces back, you know, let me know. It's probably kind of another. Starting here. So like in 9 years, kind of.
You've got all the space with nobody using it.
Now I wanna know
How you, are those part of this or is that?
It's part of the, it's part of the. So yeah, yeah, so I did a Christian witness in a hybrid meeting, so it was kind of scary.
Really, it looks like you know what you're doing.
Well, we struggled to get it up, that was the hard part.
Always is, always is.
You did it. Well, I was trying to find one that wasn't green. Or red.
Oh, venue, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, we're gonna use. Find out if we can.
Attachments put on.
Well,
Go out for that.
Lewis is in charge of it.
Put up. It's going to be back over.
Right,
If I
it's
remember correctly, they have recycling facility before.
Or Rick Caruso, just.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's what you do.
Well, I remember.
No, I don't want.
Today.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Do we use the coffee?
Hey, Mark, they locked the gate over there.
I'm sorry?
They locked the gate right there.
Or, how do we get out?
I don't know.
So,
Or,
here's how, actually, the gate will open automatically. No, not that.
oh, just. Anyone. We go ahead and use it, you get the plastic out of the ocean. I'm sorry, get the plastic out of where? The ocean, that big gigantic plastic. But it's not like they have a choice to use anything else. There's so many issues. I mean, that's why it's like.
I know that trash collected that they have in. And really, smell, trash off and really.
You can't even figure out where Bayona Creek is.
Go down and.
Because I drive across Palm all the time, across that hill over to going through that way. And right there's a town between